Alright, let this be a lesson to everybody out there. Not to do things half-ass, okay? Things that are important, that like, they have, I'm not the biggest fan of the county and the, in particular, these little, should I call them minions or, pencil pusher, no, what, paper pusher, what is that other, what's another good word for them, Gestapo, like the code enforcers. Not the biggest fan, but there's certain codes that make sense, right? And there's a reason why you want your power line buried, without conduit 2 feet deep. With conduit, I think it's something like 19 inches or something like that. But look at what we got here. I'm not sure. I'm not naming names. I'm not passing any blame. I do know that somebody on the property, not too long ago, put up this here fence and cut through the main power line to the big shed out here we have. And the reason why am I talking about this? Because we just had an electrician out. It cost us. He made out pretty good, but he's a good guy. He's a local, and he's a patriot, and he's willing to work with you. He's not just like one of these little by the book. I mean, he is by the book, but you know what I'm saying. He's not a freaking Nazi. So we had him out here, and he, because the county's on our case, because I put a couple windows in a shed. It's not even a load-bearing wall of the shed, but that was considered an improvement. And so now, guess what? They're under the radar because we got this little, and I say little, just because that's the most polite term I can use. A sniveling little neighbor up the road from us, up the hill from us, who, according to the code enforcer guy that I talked to, Tony. This guy literally flew a drone over everybody's property, took a bunch of HD images of everyone's properties, sent in a stack of these images to our county. And, according to the Tony guy I talked to, they have to follow up because guess what? Somebody snitched on all their neighbors because he's a little POS with nothing else to do in life, evidently, than to dictate and to make everybody else's lives hell. So that's the kind of neighbor that we have up the street. That's what happened, and the county found out, that we did some improvements, and then they're like, oh, wait a second, how'd you get electricity out there? Well, this shed has been permitted since like 86. But at one point in time, we put power out here, and I don't know who did this thing right down here, but it's pretty pathetic. I mean, the electrician comes out, he sets up a box in the shed, everything's good, and we have a good rain. Now there's no more power, and we've had this in the past, and the breaker in the house would trip. You pop the breaker back on, it's fine, but this time it's not doing anything, and we have a new box in the shed. None of those breakers are switched. The ones in the house aren't. And he tests the wire coming out of the house has power. The wire going into the shed has no power. So we're thinking it's this problem right here. And this is why you don't do stuff half-assed, okay? I mean, look at where this wire is right here, okay? Right? It's like maybe at the most 6 inches underground right here. Main power wire right here. This is what I had to dig to try to find that power wire. Yeah. This is the behind the chicken coop. Fort Clucks, I call it, because it's all fortified, buried underground fencing to keep out the coyotes and everything. But yeah, this is so I had to dig this trench, and I don't have any locator or anything, so I had to sit here and dig this trench because I knew at one point when this fence was built, somebody cut into the main wire, and we speculated for a while now that's probably why every time we get a good rain and the earth gets saturated that we have outages, we have a short. So let that just be a lesson. Let's not do crap half-assed, okay? Because, I mean, if you can't bury a main power cable more than 6 inches underground, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, go to the gym, work out a little bit. I mean, it's not that hard to dig. I mean, I know the ground gets pretty stiff, but look at this. You can literally lift up the ground with this wire because it's that shallow. All right, so all it takes is one little nick, and I think it's probably on the other side of the fence, so I'm gonna have to keep digging, but to find where the actual the cut and the short is. But yeah, that's fun, right? I mean, so I gotta dig this all out. I gotta figure out where exactly it was split, you know, how it was bandaged up, if we just like put some tape around it and thought that was gonna be good. But just don't do stuff. Just do the world a favor, and the rest of us that live on after you're buried 6 feet under. Don't do stuff half-assed, okay? That's today's little word of advice, daily wisdom. I don't know what to call it, but it's just annoying, okay? People that do things, they just got to get it done, and they don't think ahead of time, right? Like what are all the possible. Remember that law, Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Well, that's usually what happens in the real world, because there are so many variables that you can't even keep track of that will eventually happen on down the road. You know, it might not be within the first, I think this house has been here at least 30 years, so it might not be within the first couple decades, but eventually somebody's gonna have to pick up your mess and fix your mistakes. All right, thanks for watching. It's been fun. Not really, but gotta get back to digging. Talk to y'all later. Now we're in the chicken coop. Fort clucks. So we have to keep an eye on that rooster. So look right down now. See that? You see that? Yeah, that's the power wire on the surface of the ground. And you know what chickens do, kind of see here, maybe a little bit of that soil erosion. Yeah, chickens, they scratch, so not the brightest idea to put your 5-inch deep power wire in a chicken pen. Just saying. So yeah, it just keeps getting better. So the truth finally comes out. Looks like there's a little patchy patch right here. Literally, you can see about how deep it was, you know, about, oh, by the way, right next to the where we water the chickens. Yeah, go figure, the soil's kind of moist here. But looks like we have a little patch here. I don't know what kind of tape was used or anything, but you know, tape is not really the ideal repair for a main power wire like this. As you can see, I can just let's put the water right next to it. Okay. Nobody knows any better, so whatever. You can just pull this wire up Oh, there's two. Oh, wow. There's two repair jobs here. So, like, is it any wonder? It doesn't even look like electrical tape. It looks like some kind of a duct tape type. Not even waterproof. No, there's three. Okay, there's three. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, you gotta laugh at it or you just go insane. So, and again, we still have the wire of the chicken coop, you know, just right up against the edge of the power wire. So you couldn't have like built to the chicken coop a little bit narrower maybe, so you don't have to put the chicken scratch area right over the top of the power wire. I don't know. In any case, that needs to be repaired, and yeah, maybe I'll get our electrician friend back out here to do it right, and then I'll bury it at at least a reasonable depth this time, and maybe even just relocate this chicken coop right here, right? Because, like, do they really need, you know, I don't know, what is that, like 8 more square feet of chicken pen? I never even see them on this side of the coop, but yeah, for some reason that was like vital to have that little extra space right there. Yes. Fun stuff. Well, looky what we found here. Make sense of that? I hope so. Power wire under the chicken coop, completely like fried and severed, and like literally wires exposed right here. Just bare wires right here. And again, you can just, you know, pull it out because it's not even buried. It's basically not even buried. So, jeez. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig back as far as I can here, and in the yard here, that's something else. It's different wires, but yeah, we got a lot of wires for some reason. A lot of things to power. This is classic. It's probably, I don't know, it's just a wild guess, but I'm pretty sure this is probably part of our problem right here, I think, you know? And then sometimes you just gotta take a break and reassess the situation a little bit, you know? Yeah. So, you know, I'm always trying to learn something from every experience in life. I think that's a healthy attitude, right? And if you're not learning from your experience, then you're just like a mindless worker drone, you know? You're just going through the motions in life and a little hamster on the wheel. And you get nowhere. So, thought of like almost a kind of a spiritual application for this whole exercise in futility. You know, some people like to just, when they have a problem like this power line here that I'm digging a real trench for, and gonna have to get repaired, put it in insulation this time. I'm just going with the coop method because I didn't feel like trying to navigate around all these lilac bushes and however many rocks and whatever else, the fence. So I'm just doing a straight line through the chicken coop. This time it's going to be at a decent depth, right? With conduit covering it, protecting it from the chicken scratches. Which they're going to really want to do after I'm done with this, because the soil's all disturbed now, and that's what chickens do. You know, like, ooh, worms, bugs. So the lesson, the deep spiritual lesson here I'm trying to draw out of this, just trying hard to draw something out of this. A lot of people like to just bury their problems, you know, it's like the bury your head in the sand kind of mentality. It's like, yeah, if I just bury it, you know, just deep enough, right? Like, just deep enough to where it's out of sight, out of mind, right? You don't have to worry about it anymore. But then, kind of popped in my head like the solid foundation concept in the Bible, the sure foundation. A house built on a rock, right? You don't build your house on sand because, well, you can technically build it on sand, but eventually it's going to get, the foundation's going to get undermined. The sands are going to shift. You know, if you're on like a lot of Californians, you know, if you're on the seashore, eventually that's going to erode out from underneath you, and that house is going to go right over the edge and collapse. So let's not just, you know, we got all these problems constantly. I don't know about you, but I got all these problems constantly buzzing around in my head. And it's not that they control me, it's just like, man, things are really messed up now and then. You know, you got to catch yourself, because it's like, you get acclimated after a while. I think that's part of the deception, is it's just like new normal, right? It's always a new normal, right? Like every week, oh, it's a new normal. Shit's even crazier than it was the week prior. Yeah, with each news cycle, we just enter into a new normal of just complete insanity and evil, right? Basically, is what it is. And so, the reason I'm standing here like a, you know, farmer painting, I don't know what it's called again, but just thought I'd share that. I mean, let's not just try to, you know, cover over with a little bit of dirt. You know, let's just grab a little dirt. Just grab a little dirt and just kind of sprinkle it over our problems, right? And then pretend, because this is all you're doing is just pretending that your problems have gone away, and poof, it's magic now. Like, there's nothing else to worry about. Well, no, you just kind of I don't know, lipstick on a pig popped into my head for some reason, but you just kind of you're covering up things that you could fix in the present, and you're pushing them further into the future, right? Like, let's worry about that later, right? Like all the problems facing our country right now, and this insane level of tyranny that's rising up and trying to force all of us to do what we're told, right? Let's just not worry about that right now, because life's okay right now, right? Like right now we're good. You know, we still got our cars, we might still have a house. But you know what, the more we just push things off, you know, just put things off, cover them up, don't think about them. Too negative, right? Let's not think of all these negative things. Life is short, right? I mean, with that mentality, you know, it's that mindset of like complacency and acceptance, or it's not even acceptance, but it's a tolerance for tyranny. Like I say, it's like, yeah, you know, it's messed up, but you know, we still justify it, you know, why we put up with it. And I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying anything for a solution at this point, because I mean, I guess my solution is just to wake up to the reality of what we're facing. And hopefully if enough people realize how serious, you know, this situation is right now in our country, you know, how many of our freedoms are being directly impacted by some of these policies from this manufactured fear climate from the media. If we really realize that this is a very real enemy and this is a very real threat. Look at how tiny this little, looks like a little miniature wasp. You see that? I probably can't see it. It's really tiny. Anyway, I get distracted. If enough of us wake up, I mean, we've seen massive rallies and protest all over Europe because, you know, they're a little bit ahead of us. They're ahead of this curve of tyranny. They're locking back down. They're implementing right now. And it's not just over there. It's in New York now, right? Some of the major cities. Oh, it's a states' rights issue, right? No, it's a let businesses decide, right? As we pressure them, like the president of the United States just pressured all businesses to require vaccinations to get in the door. So this is here on our shores. It's an agenda that's being shoved down the throats of citizens across the globe, and some of them are getting pretty angry about it because they realize how much of a sham, you know, everything is behind these lockdown measures and social distancing, and eventually, you know, a green pass, they call it in Europe right now. Yeah, go green, right? It's interesting, it's a green pass, because if we study prophecy, we know the next agenda on down the list is the climate catastrophe. You know, weird, crazy weather events like we've been having around here. And oh, don't you worry, they'll be quick to exploit that tragedy as well. You know, never let a good crisis go to waste, like Rahm Emanuel said. So let's just realize the detestable, sickening, revolting level of tyranny that we face right now. It's right in our face. You know, they're not backing down anymore. That's kind of the scary part, right? Like, you think you can just, let's close our eyes and it'll go away, right? The little monsters under the bed. Yeah, let's just brush over some dirt, put some lipstick on a pig. Let's just pretend that everything's going to go back to normal. Just give it some time, right? Let this thing pass. Well, this thing isn't going to pass. Because there's a broader agenda than just a virus, okay? It's about world governments. It's about plunging the world back into another Dark Ages. And if you read anything about the Dark Ages, that was a pretty horrible, like, depressing period in the course of human affairs, history of mankind. And, you know, if we just keep down this road of complacency and acceptance, tolerance of tyranny, right? Because there's always a good justification, right? The tyrants always have a really good reason for taking power and stripping away liberties here at home. There's always a really good excuse for it, right? Oh, and it's always for our safety. You know, they care about their main concern is our own well-being, the personal health of each and one of their citizens. That's the primary concern of a tyrant, right? Yeah, it's not about centralizing power. No, it's not about stripping away power from you and giving it to them. No, that's not that at all. No, they're just bleeding hearts up there, you know, the top of that little dung pile, the center of the swamp in Washington. They're seriously concerned about you and your family and your kids. Yeah, all your well-being. That's really that's what gets them up in the morning. That's why they're politicians, remember? I mean, why else would you pursue such a career, right? Yeah, let's all just wake up to the reality that we face And it's an ugly, cold, hard, harsh reality. And the more people we wake up, the better off we'll be. I mean, to paraphrase a Thomas Jefferson quote, once the citizens are enlightened, then the grip over our bodies and our minds, the grip of tyranny over our bodies and our minds will fade like evil spirits in the light of day. I know that was a really bad paraphrase probably, but you get the idea. I mean, and I think it's key, like you said, over our bodies and our minds, because what is it right now? It's all about the public health, and that's always a great rationale, and that's a very deceptive and evil argument to exploit the good in people. You hear these arguments like, oh, quit being so selfish, do what's best for all of us, right? We're all in this together. Yeah, stronger together. And as soon as I heard that corporate slogan nonsense about this collectivist mindset that they wanted to push us all into with this, we're in this together, and you heard that over and over again, and that's how propaganda works. The more and more they say something, the more you believe it. And so you heard that time and time again. I don't watch much television, but every time I'd hear a commercial come on, someone in the other room visiting family or friends, and the same bullcrap over and over again. And eventually it sinks in, and you build this population of mindless drones, right? The hive mind, like Plato's Republic. You get this collectivist hive mind mentality, which the social media is notorious for. Twitter, that's got to be the worst for promoting that kind of mentality, and it's dangerous and it's scary, because every other instance of like state-sponsored genocide throughout history, they nurtured that same kind of line of thinking, right? This is for the homeland, right? Yeah, do what's right for your homeland, be a good patriot, right? The refuge of every scoundrel, the last refuge is patriotism. Anyway, I gotta get back to digging. I'm just, like I said, I try to learn a lesson. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm a field laborer. I don't know. Like, I'm just out here pounding away at the dirt, repairing things continually. There's always something to fix around here. The more property you have, and we don't have all that much property, but the more property you have, the more possessions you have, which is key, more work you have, right? You gotta put more time into maintaining all those things, maintenancing all those things. And so a lot of times, less is more. Like, I think the less we, as Christians, I'm speaking here, get back to that kind of primitive godliness of the early church, and just get back to the land, not like a peasant level. I'm not saying embrace this BS globalist popularization of a third world lifestyle. I'm not saying that. I mean, you still want to have land, because land is wealth. Land has always been wealth. And if you're lucky enough to have some land that's actually paid off, most places you still got to pay taxes in it, which is bull crap. But I mean, financially, you're a lot better off than probably 90+% of the population, because everybody, by design, has been spoon-fed and taught and trained to just live a debt lifestyle. Like, that's all they know. You're just in debt. You're always in debt, and you're always paying bills, and you're always living above and beyond your means, right? And you're incapable of being responsible enough to earn your own money and save it, right? So you got to rely on the banks, of course, which, the banking cartels love. They love that kind of mentality in the sheep. Yeah. Let's spend half of our life or more just being debt slaves. Is that the American dream? I don't know if that was the original intent. I don't think it was. But how quickly we fell back into the clutches of the bankers, the banksters, money lenders. And the rooster's got to pipe up, of course. But yeah, there's no coincidence, I don't think. I was waiting for him to do it one more time. Yeah, I was just gonna say that the one group of people that got Jesus really upset, so much so that he showed his anger by overturning the money changers, the tables of the money changers in the temple. The money lenders, right? Who were making a religion, making money, a business out of religion, basically. I don't think there's a coincidence. And so yeah, let's just try to stay level-headed. Let's try to disconnect as much as we can from the beast system, because we should know, as time goes on, that it's going to be more and more demanding on our time and our loyalties. Who will you worship? The beast and his image, or God? Something we should all have our minds made up about before the time comes when we have to make the choice. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. Back to digging. Good stuff. Fun times. Let's get a taste of what it was like for a little tiny small taste of what it's like to be digging those trenches in World War I. Except the big difference is a lot of those men, I'm sure they had more than once the thought crossed their minds that they could be digging their own graves. Yeah, it was a different breed back then, wasn't it? Trench warfare, World War I. It's an ugly war. Ugly times. Now things have changed. Now we're more civilized. We kill people with bioweapons and medicine. Yeah. Civilized. Civilized genocide. And don't forget, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always light in the darkness. And light will prevail over any darkness.